When I got to California, I did go to that interview at the William Morris office, and they said I had to go in the mailroom. You know, the mailroom only paid, you know, ridiculous, $35 a week, and I mean, I couldn't afford it. You know, I just couldn't live on it, so I couldn't take the job. And then my friend from TV, he was on the unemployment line because there was an actor's strike, and my money was starting to run out, you know, what little bit I had, and I was living with my aunt out here at the time, great lady, who was sort of my beacon in my family. You know, she was just an incredible woman. And I'd heard that the top independent promotion man in town had lost 2 East Coast accounts. And I happen to know both of those people, those accounts. And I mean, to get back into it, you know, I got to know some record people on the West Coast, and I called those accounts and I got them, you know. So all of a sudden I was in business as a so-called independent promotion man. And this was exciting from 2 points of view. Number one, I was working again. That was good. I was making some money. But number two, I was in business for myself, which was a very unique experience and something I hadn't really planned on at all. And I absolutely loved it. You know, just, you know, Jerry Moss Productions Unlimited as a name, you know. So working in business for myself, I started thinking, you know, maybe I should sometimes accept copyrights in lieu of promotion fees, or, you know, so I started a little publishing company. Not that it meant anything, but just to know it, just to learn something about it. So this was the West Coast. This was a different feel. I started feeling I was making some friends. I started making friends of producers, people that were actually making the records. And that's how I met Herb Alpert. From 1960, 61, I started to experiment with producing some records with different partners. Sometimes, you know, in those days you could make a record for about $200 or $300, you know, and then if it was any good, get it played on a couple of stations, get a little bit of reaction, and perhaps. I mean, there were so many labels in those days to deal with. You know, there was Chess Records, there was obviously Atlantic, but there was Dot Records. There was so many West Coast labels, you know, like Keen Records, and, you know, people that had real businesses, you know. And they would buy the record maybe for $7.50 and give you a couple of points as a producer. So we made a few deals like that, and it was a one-off. It was a one-record thing, and then move on and see what happened. None of them were amazingly successful, but again, I was learning. You know, I was trying to do stuff, and in the meantime, I met Herbie, and we just got to be sort of friends. I loved the way he played trumpet, number one. So, you know, we'd go out sometimes, and there were a bunch of piano bars on La Cienega Boulevard in those days. We'd sit in, and he'd, you know, do some solo work or play with the piano player, and, you know, just do some. And he was just amazing. He'd always get a reaction, and it was just fun to be with him. We were, like I say, good friends. He was a record producer. He was an arranger. He was a totally musician. And we listened to records together into the night, you know, and which record was doing good, which record that I was promoting wasn't doing good. By this time, I started picking up a lot of accounts, and I represented a lot of people, and I was starting to make a pretty good wage as an independent promotion person, you know. I think in 1961, that year, I must have earned about 30 grand, you know. So the business was good, you know. He had been partners with Lou Alpert, Lou Adler, excuse me, Lou, and they had produced Jan and Dean together. And Herbie at the time was still is a very attractive guy, and everybody said, why don't you try being an actor, you know. At that time, attractive people were sort of looked upon with, you know, some degree of professional skill in what sense, and he tried. So they broke up the partnership. you know, Lou, the way they broke their partnership was that, you know, Lou got Jan and Dean, and Herb got the 2-track Ampex tape recorder. That's what he ended up with. So he did some experimenting on that, because that was an interesting piece of equipment. And he started producing his own records using his son's name, Dory Alpert, as a vocalist and putting out certain records. And it just coincidentally, at the same time, I was making a record with an actor friend of mine and using Herbie as a trumpet solo in the middle of the record. And both of these records ended up costing about $400 or something, $400 to make, you know, each of them, strangely enough.